Picture this. A guy gets left on red. Most men would panic, send a follow-up, maybe a clever joke, maybe a passive-aggressive question mark. But this guy? He puts his phone down and goes back to his day like nothing happened. To the outside world, he looks cold, maybe even uninterested. But psychology tells a very different story. What you're actually witnessing is a specific mental framework, one that most people spend years trying to build and never quite get there. Here is the real psychology behind men who refuse to chase. Number 1. They have a strong internal identity. Most chasing behavior comes from a fragile sense of self. When someone's identity is tied to being wanted, every unanswered message feels like a threat. It triggers a deep need to restore that sense of worth, so they reach out again and again, hoping the other person will hand it back to them. A man with a solid internal identity doesn't operate this way. His confidence isn't borrowed from someone else's attention. It comes from the life he's already building, his discipline, his ambitions, the quiet progress he makes when nobody is watching. Romance is something that adds to his world. It is not the foundation holding it together. And when you don't need someone to complete you, you stop performing for their approval. Number 2, they watch patterns, not isolated moments. Here's a mistake almost everyone makes. Someone cancels plans once, and you immediately start analyzing what it means. Someone takes 6 hours to reply, and suddenly you're writing a mental thesis about their feelings. Men who don't chase understand something crucial. A single moment means almost nothing. What matters is the pattern. Is this person consistently showing up over weeks and months? Or are they only available when it's convenient for them? Instead of reacting emotionally to every small shift in behavior, they zoom out. They let time reveal the truth. And more often than not, the pattern tells them everything they need to know long before words ever do. Number 3, they don't confuse uncertainty with attraction. This one is subtle, and it trips up a lot of people. There is a specific kind of anxiety that comes from not knowing where you stand with someone. Your stomach tightens. You replay conversations in your head. You feel this electric tension that you mistake for chemistry. But psychologically, that feeling is not attraction. It is uncertainty. And the brain often confuses the two because they trigger similar stress responses. A man who understands this distinction doesn't let that nervous energy trick him into chasing harder. He recognizes that real connection feels calm, not chaotic. If the dynamic constantly leaves him guessing, he doesn't lean in, he leans out. Number 4, they don't negotiate their boundaries for attention. Think about how many people slowly erode their own standards just to keep someone around. They accept late-night texts instead of real dates. They tolerate being an option instead of a priority. They shrink themselves bit by bit, hoping that if they just become easy enough to keep, the other person will eventually commit. A grounded man refuses to play that game. He knows that every time you lower a boundary to hold on to someone, you teach them that your boundaries don't matter. So instead of bending, he holds his line. If someone wants to be in his life, they meet him at his standard. He would rather be alone with his self-respect than surrounded by people who only value him when he makes himself small. Number 5, they see rejection as information, not identity. For most people, rejection hits like a personal verdict. It feels like proof that something is fundamentally wrong with them. So they try to reverse it. They argue, they explain, they chase, desperately trying to change the other person's mind, as if winning them over will erase the sting. But a psychologically resilient man processes rejection completely differently. To him, it's data. It tells him that the alignment wasn't there. Nothing more, nothing less. He doesn't internalize it, and he doesn't take it as a challenge to overcome. He simply absorbs the information, adjusts his direction, and moves forward. Because he understands a truth that most people avoid. You cannot negotiate genuine desire, and trying to do so only delays the inevitable. So the next time you see a man who doesn't chase, don't assume he doesn't care. What you're looking at is someone who has done the internal work most people avoid their entire lives. He respects himself too much to beg. He reads patterns too clearly to be fooled. And he understands that the right connection will never require him to abandon who he is just to keep someone around. That isn't coldness, that is clarity. And it is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have.